What's going on, everybody? Just a ridiculously embarrassing night here for the Suns. They get blown out at home by the Rockets, 148 to 109, and it was not even that close. There's an insane a lot that I want to talk about this game, but there are a few housekeeping things we got to get to first. Connor, you're there. Obviously, the biggest one. Any update on KD and kind of what's going on there that would you get a chance to hear from Coach Spot at all about that after you work the game?
Yeah. Coach Bud was talking to us after the game, said he's gonna go ahead and get an MRI tomorrow. He's not traveling with the team for the road trip. Not traveling with them tomorrow, I should say. It's not a for sure statement that he's not gonna play. Coach Bud wanted to be very clear about that. They're just traveling tomorrow, and Kev's gonna stay back to get his MRI. So they'll know more about tomorrow.
They have any feeling on, I mean, severity of it? Is it something that they're still kind of really up in the air? They don't want to talk too much about it or anything?
Yeah, they were just honestly dejected. I'm sure didn't want to talk at all, but yeah, it just no severity. We're gonna know tomorrow.
What was the locker room? What was the press conference? Kind of, I can't imagine the energy was very good there. I mean, what was it like kind of after the game?
Yeah, two words, not good. Yeah, and I say those two words because Coach Bud repeated those two words a lot in the press conference. He said just from start to finish, and even the circumstances and even the result of tonight's game, everything was just not good. Uh, and then we got into the locker room. Half the players were gone. We didn't get to talk to Burke. We only got to talk to Ryan Dunn and Grayson Allen. That's it.
That's not unusual, is it?
Not typically. I'll tell you what. A few media members were pretty upset that we didn't get booked. At least, yeah, it was not good, not good at all.
All right. So here's the deal. I feel like for months now, we keep talking about how much talent there is on this team, and we keep kind of giving them a pass. This team is awful. All right. Like, I've reached a point where we keep talking about if they can get the last seed for the play in. They don't deserve it. Like, watching the way that they played tonight, it was horrible. Like, it was the worst basketball as a fan of basketball to watch in so many ways. And like, there's so many pieces I want to get to. The biggest one I think happens here in the second quarter with the altercation, obviously with Brooks, and there's a long extended break. They're kind of reviewing everything. At that point, they're down by about 15, and I'm saying to myself, all right, this could be a turning point. Like, normally, if somebody comes at you like that, it could be a spark. They immediately come out of that timeout. They turn over the ball. They give up a wide open three that misses, but they give up the offensive rebound, kick out for a three. They get a breakaway. It's a 3-on-1 fast break. A 3-on-1. I don't know if you remember this. Grayson's bringing it up, or Booker's bringing it up. He brings it out to the left key or left wing. Then instead of shooting it or deciding what he wants to do, he gives it to Grayson, who then decides to attack the hoop and dribbles it off his foot, and they turn it over on a 3-1. Don't even get a shot up. Go back the other way. It results in a transition three ball. It's like they don't know what they're doing out there. It's so unbelievably maddening watching a team with this much talent not run anything with guys that are looking around like they don't know what's really kind of the plan on offense and defense. They give up 78 points in the first half, which is the second most points the Rockets have scored in a half this entire year in a game that they know they have to win. It felt like every shot was wide open. It was either Sengun just going to work and getting layups, or it was wide open threes. I was really curious about it, so I looked up online. They're giving up the seventh most wide open shots in the entire league this year. The guys behind them are all trying to lose games because they're trying to get to the lottery. So really, of any team who's like actually trying to play basketball right now, they're giving up by far the most open looks. They were ranked, I think they said on the broadcast, 26th in the NBA right now in overall defense. They were 14th or 13th last year. I mean, they've dropped almost half the league as passed him up in that. And the after all of that, like if you want to excuse not knowing the system, if you want to excuse giving up all these, the most frustrating thing, Brooks does that. He punks them, he gets into them. That's kind of his MO. That's what he's done in the entire league. And I'm waiting to see if they're going to punch back, if there's going to be any fight in this team. And the only thing I saw is that they have their minds on Cancun and they got tickets already punched to try and get to Vegas. There was no fight, no heart, no interest in like actually going back at them tonight. And it was the most like, what do we do? This is a nationally broadcasted game. Everyone saw it. And I don't know if you got a chance to look on Twitter, but Stephen A. Smith and a bunch of other NBA pundits were lighting them up, and deservedly so, because this was such an embarrassing effort and just the lack of heart and energy out there. It was hard to watch, man. I mean, it was really, really painful to watch that entire game.
Yeah. I'm really glad you brought up the Dylan Bolts altercation because I feel like that's just kind of what defines their entire season is that they get punched in the mouth and you certainly you expect them to respond. At least me, I've been watching the NBA for almost 15, 17 years now. When an altercation like that happens, it's sure to fire up a team. But time and time again, and it's been a thing a few times this season, you've seen the Suns team get in an altercation like that, and they just don't respond how you expect them to. And I think what it boils down to is that this team has no culture. This team has no identity. They tell us a lot that it's a super close knit group and they're super tight with each other. I mean, I don't think a close group like that responds to all of the trouble and disaster that they face this season. It's been horrible, and I just there's really not much more you can say. A common thing that the media has been asking Coach Bud and even the players throughout the stretch of this season is that obviously the result didn't turn out how you wanted to, but do you feel like this team has enough fight to continue to make a run? And guess what they're saying every time? Yeah, I think we're talented enough. I think we have enough of the good pieces that can help us make a run. I just think they're kidding themselves. I think they've been kidding themselves all season. With the exception of the beginning of the season when we actually thought they were going to be something. No, I mean ever since then, ever since that point, it's just been, you know, I just feel like they've been kidding themselves, and it's over. I think the nail in the coffin was tonight. It's over. I think it's over.
It's unreal that a Mavericks team with I I mean let's call it like it is. A Mavericks team that is playing 8 guys right now and 6 of them probably won't be on a roster come next season. They're just guys that are on two-way deals that are trying to fight for some opportunity, but it's not like they're they're not guaranteed, I'll say that, to be on a roster next season. That team is actually playing hard. That team's finding ways to make each other better and win games. And that team is going to have a chance at walking down the Kings also, not just, beating down and running by the Suns right now, but a Suns team that has been, for the most part, healthy. I mean, you subtract kind of dealing with what's been going on with Beal, but like all season, it's not like this team has been wildly banged up. And there's no punchback at all with this team. And it it makes no sense for a squad that won almost 50 games last year and has superstars on it and guys that know what it takes to win this league to be in this position. It's inexcusable. Like it's just in what this season has turned into is an embarrassment, and it's just inexcusable across the board.
Yeah, and I'll repeat again. I think one of the core aspects of what a contender or even a competitive team is the culture and identity that you build. And I'm not saying this as a knock to Coach Bud, but like there's no identity, there's no culture within this team. And if we're gonna be honest, how could you develop an identity when midway through the season feels like half of the roster is on the trade block or half of the roster is getting benched? or half of the roster is, losing their hard-earned minutes in the rotation. I just it's a recipe for disaster the way that this team has been managed, partly the way how this team has been coached, and the mindset of the players day in and day out. Because I think looking in the locker room, I think the person that was the most disappointed in their effort was rookie Ryan Dunn. He was the because he prides himself around defense, and he was telling us, he told us straight out, he said, "I pride myself around defense, and today's effort was disappointing." And one of the members referenced this stretch where the Rockets had like four wide open fast break dunks, and yeah, Ryan Dunn was just utterly disappointed at the effort and simply the defensive integrity that they had tonight.
Yeah, I mean the Suns just looked like they quit tonight. I mean this plain and simple. It looked like they got punched in the mouth and then they just quit, and there was still like an entire half of basketball or more to play.
And the thing about it is that it looked like they quit before KD got hurt.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing about it. You know, y- Obviously KD goes down. If your best player goes down, it's over, especially when you're in the situation that the Suns are in right now. But for that to happen before he even goes down, when you still have like a modicum of hope to salvage this season, I don't understand. And it's pathetic, frankly.
There's also an ounce of irony to this whole thing in that one of the teams favorited to land KD is the Rockets, and the fact that you know, Phoenix has said that if they do happen to make the play and they go on a little bit of run, they would consider running it back. And if this is the nail in the coffin, it's the team that also is looking at KD like they want him. I don't know. Stephen A also went on. I'm curious your thoughts on this now. It's year one, but Stephen A said specifically like there's no way you can bring back Coach Bud after this season. I mean, at this point, he's turned over the roster. They've allowed him to manipulate all of the lineups, and kind of it seems like they've been giving him every opportunity to kind of make this thing work. It has only been 1 year, but are we now at a point where like he can't come back?
Yeah, I mean, me, I've been on either side of that conversation this season. Uh, I don't think he necessarily deserves to be let go, but I also can't say that he's made the most of what he's had. And you know what? I'll be fair to him. People like to compare, Frank Vogel's record last season and Coach Bud's records this season. I feel like Frank had a little bit more to work with than he did this season. I Honestly, I don't think you can blame a single coach when the roster is constructed the way it is, specifically with Bradley Beal on the team. Like, I mean, and he's hurt. So not only does like trading for Bradley Beal stifle your depth, well, now the guy that you traded for is also not playing. And not only, I mean, when he is playing, you know, he's not doing much, but still, like, he's not playing. I mean, just to make a long story short, I'm still on the fence. If you would have asked me like a week ago, I'd probably say I think he deserves to come back. But just the way that I've seen kind of this team come together, especially at this crucial point of the season, I'm not too sure that he's capable of developing, a culture. I hate to sound like a broken record, but culture and identity are so important to being a good team. And it kind of starts with the coach. He's the one that has to bring the group together, and he hasn't done a good job of that.
Just effort and heart. Like, I mean, that's what it comes down to, and they haven't shown that since the early part of the season where things were kind of going. Like, it's easy to have effort when things are going well. It's easy to look interested when you're winning games there in the early part of the season. But the moment this team had some adversity, it feels like they have never recovered, and it's just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled and gotten worse. And now they're getting ready for just an absolutely brutal road trip, starting with Milwaukee. I mean, yeah, three straight on the road there. Boston, which, I mean, that's going to be almost impossible to get a win, I would think. And then New York. I mean, Milwaukee maybe is they're dealing with all these injuries right now, but they've got 7 games left on this season. Where are you at as far as this team making a chance at that last play-in spot? I mean, you think this was it tonight?
Yeah, I think it's it. I mean, even if Fades didn't get hurt, I think it's it. The effort they displayed in a must-win game, which by the way, they've had a must-win game for the last 2 months. Just the effort that they came out with, the attitude, the willingness to kind of go all out in the regular season, especially at this point in the regular season when you have to absolutely win these games, it's atrocious. I think it's over. I don't even think it's worthwhile trying to convince yourself that even if Katie does come back, that there's still a chance. I think it's over.
The worst part is, like, they still don't have options even this offseason. Like, I mean, their one move is to, well, I guess you could say you can move Booker too, but like their one move is to move KD and do like a soft reboot, but like they don't have draft picks really right now. They have the 3 that are late first rounders that they kind of, but those don't come up for a little bit. It's just they're so limited with what they can do right now after that Bradley Beal trade, and it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel right now. It's just that's kind of where it is with this team, I guess. Yeah, three games on the road coming up. I mean, there's still a game and a half out, but like, I don't feel great about it. I just, and I go back to what I said at the very beginning. After what I saw tonight, like, it just feels like this team doesn't deserve to even try and make the play-in, which is insane because this team had championship aspirations at the start of the year.
Yeah, it's over. We're really not much more you could say. You could put that on the fun day. Hey, it's over. Well, obviously you control all that, but like it's really over.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, they're going to have some opportunities to prove us wrong, but I think every bit of stock that I had, I sold in the team tonight after watching kind of that effort, and we'll figure out, I guess, this offseason, because it feels like the offseason started today, but, I guess we'll wait. I don't know. All right, Connor, I appreciate it, man.
Yep, we'll see you later.